It's Tuesday night, and we're here to discuss the Tiktaalik tonight. This is Mark of Sea Science Film Labs and Jason of Faithful, Honest, and True. Hope you're all having a great night tonight. Got some great photos, as promised last week, of this claimed transitional fossil between fish and land-dwelling animals. So we know who discovered it, where it was discovered, when it was discovered, and how. We're going to cover all the bases tonight. So just start with some pictures. So here's a reconstruction of the museum, and next to an artist's rendition of what they believe it looked like with its flesh. So all right, so here we go. Here is the discoverer, Neil Shubin. Here he is holding a part of the Tiktaalik's hip, part of the pelvis here. And, this is his big discovery. The Tiktaalik was his baby. So here you have Neil Shubin holding the part of the Tiktaalik, this new part of the pelvis that they discovered. And this is what he says proves that this animal was, amphibious, or could be land and water, much like the mud skipper, which is a modern living animal. And, the same arm anatomy you can find in fish that are living modernly today. So, and here's another picture of what would be the Tiktaalik, another artist rendition. Now you notice that there's no back legs on this one, or at least you can't see them. Well, they're also not present in the photo at the museum there. Yeah. So it looks a little bit shorter there than it does in more recent photos of the Tiktaalik. Yeah, like this one. And there's a good reason for that too, There's another one. And that's because these back legs were discovered at a different time. You have the major discovery, the primary discovery here, which was the skull and the trunk body. The fins on the front here are present, but the back fins were found at a later time, as I said last week. And here's a photo of the Tiktaalik rosé. Now, they'll claim that there's multiple discoveries of the Tiktaalik rosé, but there's only really this discovery and then like one other that's claimed to be a skull. So that's kind of interesting. But this back section here with the rectangle, the orange rectangle around it, that's showing the back fin anatomy. And the back section of this was found at a later date, as I said. So you have the initial discovery of first of the site and the first piece of what was claimed to be Tiktaalik in 2002. And then you have this discovery, which was later found in 2004. And that's the Tiktaalik rosé. Now, this is the only species of, claimed to be Tiktaalik. So there's not multiple species of this animal that have been discovered. It's just, this is the only individual. So we have this, the Tiktaalik rosé is just the name of the species that they invented here. So, are you here, Jason?
Yeah, I'd like to know what the bottom. I've been looking for a similar head shape or skull in nature. I only found one that was some sort of flat-headed shark, bottom-feeding shark, had the same eye placement and that. But I'm sure there'd be something if we looked. It's funny how we were talking last time on live about how that we were going to look for similar skulls and stuff like that. before that, whenever I'd do a search on my browser, I'd find all these skulls, find a million bones and skulls and everything. Now, when I do a search, I only find the animal and no skulls. I mean, a bit of a coincidence, I suppose.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, as soon as we go look for these skulls, like they're nowhere to be found. I did some searching myself over the weekend. I tried to find a decent skull of a mud skipper, but they're mostly so small, you know. And this is just not available, right? I mean, so we'll have to do further
It's
research
available
to compare it.
Mate,
Yeah, it's available. It's out there.
Before we started talking about searching about skulls, I'd search up skulls and bones and things, and I'd get thousands and thousands of skulls and bones come up. Like as soon as I start talking about it, I go to search it, I can't get one skull, one bone. Well, I can't find anything. Just strange.
That's wild.
Just it is pretty wild that you talk about searching these things, and then you go search them, and boom, they're all gone. You can't find them anywhere.
There should be a way to compare the pictures and have it go through and search out anything that's in that shape, and it'd make it a lot easier. But I mean, here you have this is a bottom view or inferior view of this fossil, and you can see the jaw underneath, and then I assume the ribs there. So we have it's a bony fish. All these are bony fish, the ones that have the arm or the leg fin anatomy. So, and as I was saying, there's not a ton of these fossils. Like they didn't find a bunch of different Tiktaaliks washed into a pile. They've got this singular Tiktaalik and then another skull claimed to be a Tiktaalik. Now this is when it was displayed in a library, and that's where these photos were taken. So these are just photos of the fossils of the Tiktaalik in a box, And here's your first discovery of the Tiktaalik in 2022. They found this piece of what had been the snouter, a snout of a Tiktaalik. Whoa. And this gave them a clue that they were finding fossils of what would be fish type animals. So they got scales.
Yeah, that's like that. It's similar to those flatted sharks with the long snouts. So it had a snout on it, did it? The Tiktaalik with, they reckon.
Yeah, this thing we're looking at here, yeah.
Is that with the teeth? Is that the teeth at the side there?
That's what I'm saying. And I'm looking at this
just
thing.
A crocodile skull or something. That's some sort of
Yeah, I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, is this a longer snout than our guy? This is the one we're always seeing. But this is another. So NUFV 109. Very interesting.
They're straight teeth. They're not cutting teeth. They're gripping and holding teeth like similar to a crocodile or something. It looks like. Are they teeth on the side there or not? On the front there, about that just at the long snout.
That's what they're supposed to be. And I mean, I've seen we have drawings. I found some drawings of what's supposed to be Tiktaalik, and they used this one's dental arrangement and even the teeth, like these sharper teeth. Oh gosh, I gotta find it. But I'll look for that. But yeah, like I was saying, I mean, here in this library, they had these set out in boxes, so that's what these photos are from. And the first discovery, that was in 2022 or 2002, 2 years before the well-known Tiktaalik fossil was discovered. So, and they say this is part of a snout, and they knew that they had a good clue that this would be a site that would produce fossil of animals, the fish to tetrapod transition, So where's their prediction?
It's just an extinct species.
Yeah. You have, and then in 2004, they dug around and they found the NUFV 108, which is the best known Tiktaalik rosé fossil discovery. This is one you see in all the pictures. Yeah, so 2004. Here's a better shot of the fin of this fossil.
It's just a fish fin, mate. It's just a walking fish. Look at the fin. It's just a walking fish. It's just like a mud skipper, a giant mud skipper, or and going by that skull, it looks like they're mixing a skull with fish, because that skull doesn't look like it comes from anything. That long skull doesn't look like it comes from any fish. I mean, it's weird how they've got this long skull and then this short, rounded. Which one is it? Very unusual.
Yeah, I don't know if they're like trying to claim differences between sexes in the differences of snout, because like you were saying, like this is the NUFV 109, and it's like, if that's the skull, it's a lot longer.
How did they identify it?
And this skull. And
how did they
like, if this is really claimed to be the same species, the Tiktaalik rose, they're supposed to be both the same species, you know? Like, why is this?
How did they identify them as being the same species? Were they found near each other, or?
That's a good question. Yeah. It's all from the, you know. So these are the four main fossils, but this all came out of this area. Here we go. Yeah. So here you have Ellesmere Island. This is where the discovery was found. There you see it on the map. We have a blown up photo here. So, let's see. That's pointing there, NV2K17. That should be the site where this big site was, where they recovered this guy. So, and here's a blown up photo of it. I don't know what the star is for on this map, but it would have been right in that southern part of Ellesmere Island on the left side in that bay area. You can see it right there, and it points right to that bay. So here's a little bit more blown up. But yeah, that's where they discovered this thing. And actually the shot behind us here is Ellesmere Island tonight. So we got that for the background too. So just so you know. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Oh.
Yeah, it's just an extinct species as far as I'm concerned. It's just something they've found. I mean, they find these things and just claim that it's a transitional. There's no intermediates. I suppose they'd call that one with the long snout maybe some sort of intermediate or something, maybe. But, you know, as it's evolving from Tiktaalik to something else, who knows? I don't know. But it's just, they find these, and then they go out and find the back feet, apparently, the back fins. Well, you know, it's just extinct species. Oh, yeah, there's the coelacanth. What was it, going from the coelacanth to something else? Is that what they say here?
Yeah, here you have them moving from the coelacanth to these Ichthyostega, and then to the Tiktaalik. So it's like, yeah, it's very clearly written here, you know.
Well,
there's no lines. I can't follow.
Yeah, the coelacanth's still alive today, but they disappeared 70 million years ago. It hasn't been seen in the fossil record for 70 million years, and it's still alive today. So, you know what I mean? Like, just because you don't see something in the fossil record, people, it doesn't mean that it went extinct or disappeared.
Oh yeah, yeah. The coelacanth. Yeah. I mean, it's just they had. Yeah, the coelacanth. They had said that this is, you know, for a long time they had that as a transitional form before they discovered it modernly, living in the ocean still in the Japanese seas. They fished one out, you know, when the discovery was made. So it's like they find these animals with this different, fin anatomy that they hadn't seen before, and immediately it's like, this is exactly what we've been looking for. This is this is a bony fish. This coelacanth it's a bony fish. So it must be on its way to making arms and legs, and so and the
and the unusual
coelacanth,
shape of its fins.
yeah, I
Too.
mean the
The
coelacanth has
coelacanth
some
has
very
unusually
bony
shaped fins.
fins. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
they have the whole arm anatomy in the coelacanth that I believe Tiktaalik does, and any other thing with arms. So
yeah.
they compare it here. Let me show you. They compare these different things to like monkeys, I believe. So they go right down. They're like, oh look, they have all about the same bones. And that's evolution for you. So I got a color picture of this too. We'll go to. But like you were saying, I mean, like you were saying, we still see this kind of arm anatomy modernly. So to assume that finding it in fossil form means that we've found something between uh, um, what would be a fish and a land, like a terrestrial animal, that it was on its way to becoming something else. It's like, when is this mud skipper going to crawl onto land and, become terrestrial, fully terrestrial? When is its offspring going to be fully quadrupedal?
Sorry, that's my dog.
It's always
Drinking. I'll
just
turn
going
it
to
off.
stay there as a mud skipper. So I'm going to add the link to the chat, if you don't mind, Jason. You think we're good to go for that? Or
Yeah, go
we'll
for
keep
it. Yep.
discussing this. All right. But yeah, I mean, there you have it. You have the same exact arm anatomy right here on this mud skipper. So to find a fossil animal with the same anatomy, and then to claim, that it was on its way to becoming terrestrial, quadrupedal land animal, that's complete fantasy. It's conjecture. It's guesswork at best. It's finding two pieces of evidence, trying to connect them, things that shouldn't necessarily be connected. So, yeah. All right, I'm going to add this link to the thing here. So, go.
I'm just about to post a link.
I've got it. I've got it in there.
No, I'm going to
All right.
post
So if anybody
another
wants to
link.
discuss
Have a look at
Tiktaalik,
this. These aren't look in my thing. Click on that. Click on that link. Have a look at that. Hang on a second.
I don't think I can go away from here without leaving the studio. But check it out. Like, if you're in the chat, check that out. So you have the coelacanth skull fossil. Now we've finally got a side shot of this thing, and it's pretty flat, as most fossils are when they're softer bodied critters. So, but I looked all over for a side view. There's your side view. We've got the top, we got the bottom. We can get a good peek at this thing now, and we can compare the fossil remains to other fossils, other skeletons, modern living animals. Try and figure out what we're looking at. And they claim it's a Tiktaalik rosé, but that's just a name that they've applied to it, and they're trying to apply that very same name, like you pointed out, to whatever this was. So now, and I believe that they use this dental arcade here for their picture, um, for the teeth of this thing. If I can find one with an open mouth. No, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. That's not the one I was looking for. And that looks more like what you would expect to see in the mouth of this guy. So, because he's got his teeth too. And we do have some fantastic shots here. I mean, you can see the scales, these diamond-shaped scales of the Tiktaalik fossil. You know, definitely a fish.
Have a look. Have a look at that thing I just shared. Did you share?
I can't, but can you project it? Could you project it on the screen? Because I can't really look at it without leaving the studio.
No.
Oh, there we go.
It's not sharing, which is really weird. Hang on. I'll something. No, OPO was not. That's really weird. Why is that not sharing? It should share. Let me share it again. Don't tell me. And there it is. Is that? There it is. Okay, here. Watch this. See what it says it is? A coelacanth skull. Now watch this. Now watch this.
Oh.
What the heck does that say that is? Caption, coelacanth. Details, model release, property release not required. I don't know what it just says coelacanth, and it's a weird looking skull for a coelacanth as far as I'm concerned. What do you reckon? That looks a bit similar to that long snouted skull thing you showed.
I don't know if my
it's not showing up.
Yeah.
On your
I don't know if my my studio screen isn't working or what, but I don't see anything on screen right now.
Well, it's sharing.
No,
sort of thing going.
Not on the studio screen. I don't know if the people in the audience can see it.
Yeah, they can, because I can see it sharing, but that's really weird. Maybe if I stop sharing,
you gotta
try it again.
Tell you what, we can look at this for a second.
Sure. It should be free now.
Check out this photo of the Tiktaalik.
It's sharing now. I don't understand why I can't see it anyway.
All right. I'll get this out of your way.
Coming up. Wait a minute. It's taking a while to come. Here we go. No, it won't. Just keep going, man. It's no, I can't even share stuff out now on StreamYards, man. What's the point in having it? I'm gonna just dump in my StreamYard subscription. This is just ridiculous. This is ridiculous. I mean, this is just a link that I'm trying to share. I can't even share that.
But I want to point something out to you too. I mean, like, check out this this rendition. You know, this interpretation. Yeah. They've got like a thicker Tiktaalik than, say, they show here. Like, it seems more streamlined. This one looks almost like, yeah, but that's supposed to be a Tiktaalik, and you can see the skull shape. That's supposed to be our guy. You know.
Yep.
It's just, yeah.
I don't know where they get that long snouted thing from then.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then, well, because of this guy, I guess. I mean, this is the other this is the other example, and it just seems like it's such a longer snout. So I don't know if they're trying to claim
just remove that picture and see if you can see it now.
Sure.
See if you can see what
I think it is. I think it is projecting. There it is. There it is.
Can you see it now?
Oh yeah.
Okay, now watch this. Watch that. Look, says caption Coelacanth, Gerard Millard Science Photo Library Coelacanth. Now watch this. Oh, hang on, wrong way. It's supposed to be a coelacanth skull. What is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Man, but it says here, caption.
What kind of coelacanth? Or
coelacanth lati Latimeria. Coelacanth latimeria. Latimeria. Atimeria.
I wonder if you look that up on Google, if they'd have a photo or a drawing with some animal with a much longer snout, you know?
Yeah, well, I've got the link, so I posted the link in the live, on the chat, the live chat. So yeah, that's unusual looking thing. Anyway, so back to what you were saying.
So yeah, I mean they're taking these two animals, you know, these two fossils that they found. They're trying to say that they're related, and it's basically they're finding you know, coelacanth, and then this whatever Tiktaalik is what they've named it, and then they're imagining that they're somehow related. They're from different parts of the world. Okay. I was like, well, you know, the ocean's all one ocean, so they're all connected, but they're finding these places in different parts of the world, and they're imagined that they're supposed to belong together in some ancestral relationship. It's just not so, you know. They're assuming it's all guesswork, and they can't, you know, they don't have the DNA of these things, so it's completely guessed by features of these fossils. So, no, that's not science, and that's what, you know, you expect from the evolution theory side, is a bunch of stories and no real science, because theirs is the religion. You know, they believe that all of the animals on the earth are related to a single-celled organism. Okay, when there's no fossil evidence for that.
No transitionals. Just jumped straight into animals with legs and arms and eyes and stomachs and brains and stuff. There's no transitionals from single cells to the creatures in the Cambrian. There should be billions and trillions of transitions all through the fossil record, but they just jump bang from single cell to fully formed, to every bit of phyla in the animal kingdom: legs, arms, eyes, stomachs, you know, digestive systems, the whole lot. So yeah, there's definitely no transitionals. And also, when they say there's a Precambrian, the Precambrian is flipped upside down in China too, by the way. Precambrian's on top of the Cambrian, so that blows that idea.
They're out of order in China. That's funny. Well, I mean, that just goes to show you there's no real geologic column. I mean, you dig around here, you get down, there's clay, and then you have the slate. So it's like, where's your geologic column? And you know what's great is that the clay is actually formed usually, you know, I mean, clay is made by water. So you'll have old lake beds that get covered with sediment, and then the mud at the bottom of these shallow lakes actually become the clay. And clay forms in a couple different ways, actually, because it can also form, but it's always through water, because it happens through rain as well, and just water or rain filtering through the dirt and collecting the clay. And you get red clay because it has iron in it. But I was watching about that, and it's really interesting because clay is all over the planet, so it's safe to say that all over the planet was underwater. And the evolutionists believe this too, is that a lot of the planet has been underwater, and that there's these ancient seas and basins all across the planet, and so they explain it that way. But wouldn't it be interesting is that a worldwide flood would have worldwide evidence. One of these evidence would be as a layer of mud and a layer of clay being left over.
So that's a needle. Is that a hypodermic needle next to it, or just a chiseling tool? It's a chiseling tool. I'd like to know how big that chiseling tool is compared to the skull.
Gotta be a chiseling tool.
Yeah, so I wonder how big it is. That doesn't really give scale.
Yeah, I mean that is the same skull. I mean it's the if you kind of want an idea of how large it is, you can
doesn't really matter.
I was trying to get a photo for a good idea of the size. Now here you can see chairs and stuff behind it, and like the table, and kind of guesstimate. But and then you have that magazine, so it's not huge. The CG with him holding, the Discover, and here's Neil holding one. It would have been a really big mud skipper.
Yeah.
But they're looking in the area, where mud skippers and these kinds of animals live modernly. So they're like, we're going to go to a place on the planet where these types of animals live currently and dig around for fossils of an animal like that. And they found one. So,
yeah, just
not surprising.
Giant fish, the sort of mud skipper walking fish.
Sure.
That's all it is. Extinct species. It's not a transitional.
Yeah, I mean that's my position. I mean, like, even if it's not a mud skipper, it's a mud skipper like animal because it has the same kind of anatomy. And even the evolutionists will admit that, is that the arm anatomy is just like the mud skipper. So the leap in logic is to claim that this is an animal that's becoming a land animal, and that it's the same walk on land and not need to be in the water anymore, when the water probably has a lot to do with its reproductive system, just like the modern day mud skipper. Like it comes in and out of the water because it has to. So
Devon's in the chat. Do you know Devon?
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, mate.
Hey, welcome aboard, Phoenix. Good to see you.
I've never done this before, so I'm kind of nervous. I just wanted to stop by and say hello, basically.
That's fine.
Good.
UNC Science.
Yeah, stick around.
And I appreciate the work that you gentlemen are doing, explaining the truth and also explaining the lies, because this is a lot of propaganda we're being fed, and it's not based on real science.
Yes, I agree. That's the whole thing I want to kind of put across,
Well, you're doing a good job at it. I'm really happy that I found you. I found you on another channel, and I think they were talking about you, saying things that weren't true, that you were, what did they call you? They were trying to define you, put you in a box, and then thanks to their stupid show, I found out about your channel, and then I started watching your channel.
Well, that's excellent. Yeah, I mean, I've been called a lot of things, so it could be. There's a problem I find, is that if you keep saying things that are true, people will disagree with you, because they're so held down by their biases. And their biases actually keep them from considering it. And instead of, maybe taking the time to answer your questions or consider what your views are, they'll instead just completely ignore you and kind of like block you out, call you names, attack your character,
It's like Dr. Hovind said, it's like a religion, and they've already been indoctrinated. They've got their knee-jerk reactions. They already know what to say, and they're all lockstep with Aaron Ra and all this stupidity. He's not even, I think he got his bachelor's degree, but he doesn't know anything. He's like, Ken Hovind said, he's an idiot. You don't have to agree with that. I'm saying what Kent said. You can ask him. It's true.
Ken Hovind isn't. Oh, sorry. Aaron Ra is a buffoon.
No, thank you.
Well, I'll tell you, I've talked to him in text form, back and forth, just in comments. It seems Aaron, he understands, the problem of energy being eternal. So it seems that he believes in an eternal universe.
Yeah, that's the hypocrisy that he can't believe in an eternal God, but yet he can just go ahead and just on pure faith believe that energy is eternal in the universe. And where's the evidence for that? That's not science.
Sure. Yeah, anything not to believe in God,
Yeah, I would think that God is eternal, and then the energy and the universe, that comes from God. That's the source. There has to be a source of all things, and something has to be eternal, but I don't think it's the universe. I think it's God.
Yeah, that's my view too, for sure. And
I saw that video you posted about, I don't know if it was Hitchens or somebody that was talking about that there was a really good argument about
the fine tuning. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
It was Hitchens.
Yeah, it was a really good video. Thank you for that.
Yeah, man. It's good to hear them actually admit. It's like when you hear people like them and people like Stephen Hawking admit that the fine tuning is an actual problem for them.
It sure is.
Yeah, if it was off by even a hair's breadth, even like these fundamental constants are off by even a hair's breadth, they say that the stars wouldn't be able to produce, wouldn't be able to function. All the chemistry would be wrong. Chemistry, we rely on constant reactions in chemistry.
And it's a problem for them because we've fallen into the globalist cult religion, and it's got its certain ideas, and if something doesn't mesh with that, instead of being an open-minded scientist and saying, well, let's explore other things, it's just like, no, well, we just don't know where those fossils are, but there should be a lot of them, and there really aren't. It's really pathetic.
That elongated skull you showed with the funny looking teeth looks exactly like those teeth look exactly like a dolphin's teeth and dolphin's skull.
Just like Lucy looks just like an ape.
Sure.
And dolphin. Yeah, definitely dolphin.
Well, what blows my mind is that I'm looking at this, and I can't see it from all sides. But just staring at this thing, I can't tell what it is.
It's a dolphin, man.
It looks like a rock with teeth in it.
They just kind of see what they want to see. They're looking at the clouds and they're seeing what they want to see, what's going to match their story.
Sure.
Well, I'm going to go now because I got to study, but thank you for letting me chat and say hello and all that.
Yeah, Phoenix, thank you for popping on and talking for a minute.
See you, mate.
Appreciate you guys. And if anybody's watching, be sure to join see the Sea Science. I assume it's public. The Discord. It's a really good Discord.
Sure. Yeah. There you go. I could post that in the chat too.
Thanks. Okay. See you in a little bit.
Thanks, Phoenix.
Okay. See you, mate. Thank you. Right now.
Great guy. Yeah, here you have the shadow of the fins on the main fossil. So,
sorry, I'm just looking for that thing. I want to show you something, if I can ever get it to load.
And it would be the south side of the top fossil here. What would be the south part of the compass? That little section coming down. So what's interesting is you have this discovery being made back to the site, and they dug up the additional back part of this fossil. So that's why you see, and here's the entire.
Hey, quickly remove that picture and have a look at what I just shared.
While for the picture. So, you have to load it. So
have a look at that. Have a look at that skull. Have a look at that skull, and then have a look at the so-called Tiktaalik skull, the long one. Look at the teeth on that skull, and then have a look at that Tiktaalik one with the long teeth, the long snout. It's a bloody dolphin, mate. It's not a Tiktaalik. Dolphin!
Well, it just gets me because it's like, how am I supposed to believe that that's the same animal as this? I mean, by their word, if that whole end here, this long elongated snout, if this whole thing is the skull, then I'd say that's not the same animal as this one. But, maybe they're trying to claim like it's differences between sexes, some sexual dimorphism. Maybe the males have long snouts, the females have short snouts. But it's like, how would you know that by finding two individuals tops? It's like you have two things to compare. And none of the reproductive anatomy is there, by the way, I don't think. So it doesn't look like it is.
So basically, they just find any skull, it looks like they have, and call it whatever they want.
Pretty much. Sure. Well, it seems like any fossil will do. It seems, you find a fossil in the ground, and there's your evidence for evolution. But to claim that these are transitional forms, I mean, they have pieces of these animals. They don't have. This is actually quite complete compared to the other transitional fossils. I mean, I guess the most complete and well-known one would be the Archaeopteryx, and as we both know, that was recently knocked from its transitional perch, according to the Australian National Geographic, or the Australian Geographic magazine. And it first appeared in Nature that these fossils coming out of China, these fully avian bird fossils coming out of the China fossil deposits, were older than the Archaeopteryx. So it became known that the Archaeopteryx is no longer considered a bird, basically. And this is back in 2012. So it's now, just another feathered dinosaur that wasn't on its way to becoming a bird.
All right.
So the entire idea of Archaeopteryx has been shaken. And most of the evolutionist community isn't even aware of it,
Yeah.
And it's a pretty big discovery. So. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's dolphins, but it's definitely got an elongated snout just like that. And I just don't know how they're going to claim that the NUFV 109 is the same animal as the NUFV 108. That's just, and they're saying, and it is exactly what they're saying, because they're saying that there's only one kind of Tiktaalik, and that's the Tiktaalik rose, or the Tiktaalik R. So there's one species, and they're claiming this is all the same species. So it's wild. And to know that the here, let's see. Okay, so so I went and I talked to the AI, about the Tiktaalik a little bit, which you can't trust their information, as we know. I asked it, how many Tiktaalik are there? They're like a dozen. And I'm like, really? Because I've only, been able to find like several fossils and stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, there's only 4 discoveries, and it's, they're all just pieces. And, so like those 4 things in the box is all they have of the Tiktaalik. And as we mentioned, two of them don't look like the same animal. Just looking at them, I mean, just from, comparing just the teeth look like they're set different. So, and then the snout looks longer, if that is the snout. It just, and the second fossil you can hardly tell anything from, because like I said, it looks like a rock with the teeth on down the side, like you mentioned. So here I question it, were they? And like the pelvis and the back fins were discovered after the initial discovery, because first they went out, they found the front part of the Tiktaalik, then they went back, and they went back in 2006 and 2008 to continue searching, you see. And that's when they found the remaining portion of this Tiktaalik, or what they claim is supposed to be connected to the front. So you have, this section here, this back section. They went back, they found that in 2006, 2008. And say it belongs to the same animal. And if they pulled it out of the same side of the hill, maybe it does. And as I said, even if it has this back fin anatomy, even if this back fin anatomy is part of this animal, even if this animal is an extinct form that doesn't exist anymore on this planet, even if it isn't a giant mud skipper, even though they look quite alike, that doesn't mean that it's a transitional form that Darwin talked about, a form that has been between and on its way to becoming terrestrial from a fish, from an aquatic animal to a fish, from a fish to a terrestrial animal. It's just complete conjecture. So now, is it interesting? Absolutely. Like, these are some interesting finds. But what's even more interesting is that they went to look for these fossils in the same place that they find the mud skippers, so they're looking in the place for this kind of anatomy where there's modern animals that have that anatomy. And then when they find them in the dirt, they're like, oh, look, we predicted it. Well, yeah, I mean, if you go to any place on the planet, let's say they find bears, you should expect to find some fossils of some bears at some point digging around. So it's not really, I mean, their predictions, the evolutionist predictions are like, Tuesday will follow last Monday. It's like, we already know. You didn't predict anything. What is a prediction is like a creationist prediction, like saying that fossils form quickly. We've been saying that for the entire time, okay? Because we believe that all the fossils were basically created in the flood, or the majority of them were created in the flood. So we know that fossils take, less than 4,000 years to form, right? In our opinion. And then now you have information coming out that fossils form in months, even a year, where they used to teach that it took hundreds of thousands of years. Yeah, there you go. Maybe even faster. Mineralization even faster than that. So you had their narrative that they've taught us for so long, that fossils take hundreds of thousands of years to a million years to mineralize. Now we find out that they take a few months to a year, maybe even shorter than that. So it's completely destroying their whole narrative. So we know who discovered it. It was Neil Shubin. Where it was discovered, it was the island here. Let me get the map. Ellesmere Island. Yep, just above North America there. And we got a blown up picture of Ellesmere Island. Now, it was southern Ellesmere Island. So like this star, like I said before, I don't think that star is where it was found, because you have this arrow pointing here, the bay. So I don't know. But yeah, so either way, it was in the southern part of Ellesmere Island. So you know where it was found, when it was found, 2002 to 2008. Okay. How it was found? Well, they went looking where they knew that they would find arm anatomy and fossils of animals with arm anatomy that would look like the mud skipper. So how much of a prediction? I guess they did kind of predict it, because they predicted they would find fossils of fish quite like this one where they're looking. So
yeah, the bowmouth cuttlefish. It's got an unusual shaped head. The bowmouth
the cuttlefish.
Guitar fish. No, bowmouth guitar, as in play, strum your guitar. Bow, as in bow. Bowmouth guitar fish. Have a look at that thing's head.
Did you ever see the song about Tiktaalik that I posted in the chat the other day?
I can't remember.
They've got you didn't see it. You'd remember it if you saw it. They sing about Tiktaalik and just kind of talk about the whole discovery and stuff. It's pretty clever. But their Tiktaalik, it didn't have any back fins, because at the time the video was made, all they had, was this guy to go by, which is still their best find. So, but I mean, as you say, before the flood, there was quite a lot of larger animals, say, that, and there's something to be said about larger animals dying off before smaller animals, I guess. But one thing, as far as the terrestrial animals, I think if you look at the young Earth creation models with Noah's flood, this bottleneck of Noah's flood and collecting all the animals onto the ark, where you would take the smaller bears and have bears rather than take the larger variety of bears onto the ark. So I think a lot of the larger animals were lost because of that selection that happened there. But that's just me. And as far as, but there's also the fact that the larger animals would be eaten first, I guess, if they're edible. So, because they're a bigger meal. So I guess larger animals are more likely to disappear first. I don't know. I think there's something to that. But
I just shared something out. See if it actually shares.
Sure. Oh, wow.
Can you see that? The bowmouth guitarfish, or what's this? Looks like a. There you go.
I haven't seen that one before.
Yeah, neither have I. Similar sort of head shape. Wonder what its skull looks like. Probably doesn't look nothing like it, but who knows?
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it doesn't. And that's really the thing, because when you're looking at this without its skin and everything, and then they paint it up, and it doesn't look much different than the skull. They give them these tiny little eyes. They don't know how big the eyes were, And a lot of other features, and I think this is about the dinosaurs too, like you see these plesiosaur and stuff, and they don't have anything on their heads. They're all flat. Who knows if the plesiosaur didn't have appendages like ears. I mean, not ears, but some kind of cartilage stuff that wouldn't have made it or been fossilized. Some kind of head ornaments, like a lot of the marine animals have. So the depictions that we're getting of these animals, they try to make them as much as they might look like in reality, but they're probably far from it, especially with the dinosaurs. So
Starfish skull. Let's see if we can find it. Oh.
I do have some literature. If it loads, here we go.
Different.
The fossilized pelvis and pelvic fin of the Tiktaalik rosé reveal that the evolution of hind legs actually began as enhanced hind fins. Existing theory that large mobile hind appendages were developed only after vertebrates transitioned to land. Yeah, so
there's all different types.
Here it's even talking about this. This is from this article here called Sure.
Yeah, there's all different types of.
This is from the Sign News article here, and well, that flathead shark or whatever that you had last week, that looked a lot like everything, but I mean, you do have
that one right. Yeah. Yep. It's a bowmouth guitarfish as well. That's what they are. You want to look up just a bowmouth guitarfish. Just look them up in Google and you'll find that flat-headed thing that I showed you before as well. There's different types. Bowheads. That one that I showed you says that's a bowmouth guitarfish as well. So there's obviously different species
or varieties, yeah.
Varieties, yeah.
Sure. Well, the eye placement is certainly on top. So, I mean, you have that. That's evident. And the shape of the skull. It still blows my mind, though. Like, this whole thing here, as you even mentioned, is like, how are we supposed to believe that this animal is the same animal that's sitting here? Hold it in my hands. Maybe if I held it in my hands and licking this rock. But all I see is a line of teeth. I don't know. I find it very hard to believe that this animal is supposed to be the same animal as this animal. So, but that's the claim. So,
yeah.
You know, here they're comparing the Tiktaalik fin, the arm fin, you know, to like a monkey, I think. I don't know. But some mammal. Some land, you know, and they're just like, you know, oh, it's got all the same stuff. Sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, common design as well. It's not
right.
just something.
I mean, like it's got some of the same obvious bones, but I wouldn't say it's the same. You know what I mean? They're trying to compare it. And it's like, but when you look at even like our hands and compare them to say what squirrels would have, you know, they're quite a bit, you know, different shapes and size, you know, and it's just like, but that doesn't mean that we're related to squirrels. So,
nah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all of the evolutionist arguments are based on commonalities, you know? And it's like all these commonalities, you know, they argue that this proves common ancestry, but it's a weak argument, and it's just as good of an argument for a common designer, as you just said. So it's a poor argument for either position.
Yeah.
To be real. But when you're an evolutionist and you've got next to nothing as far as evidence, to hinge your belief system on, I guess you got to reach for things like this. So, and notice that this is a drawing, and not like an X-ray compared to an X-ray. It's never that.
Yeah, let's share this over. Let's share this one.
All right. Let me get this out of the way here. I'm going to
Here we go.
take a quick break. Can you?
Yep. There you go. So let's have a look through these walking fish. Just let me have a drink of water. Let's have a look through these walking fish. Oh, there's one. That's a that's one I like to use in soups, I think. Italians that. Oh no, it's a different type to what I'm thinking of. Let's see. Walking catfish. Now there's something I never thought of. Let's have a look at and different. Now let's have. Oh, here's one. He's very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Let's. Okay. This is interesting. Okay, let's have a look at these fish skulls. Yeah. Just make sure that came up. Yes, it did. That's good. Now have a look at that one. That is very, very interesting. That one is interesting. Now that looks like a Tiktaalik skull, doesn't it? Certainly does. Looks a lot like a Tiktaalik skull. I think we may have found a match, something that matches very closely anyway. And I'll put that in the, I'll put that link in the paste. Oh, that's a long link. Ugh. I hate those long links. A tracking link. It's not me. It's the what do they call it? Microsoft. It's a Bing search. Microsoft Bing. So that's where that link comes from. Yeah, that is absolutely awesome. I would really like to get a closer look at that one. And we go. Hang on, I'll get the closer look out. Share screen. And there we have it. There's our Tiktaalik. There's the species that Tiktaalik might be from. Let's see. And I would like to get a screenshot of that one. That's for sure.
What are we looking at here?
Well, looks a little bit like Tiktaalik, doesn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
That's this type of fish. And look at its fins at the front there. Doesn't Tiktaalik's fins go right beside its head like that?
Sure.
I think they do. There's your Tiktaalik.
There you go.
We found
it's definitely
we found Tiktaalik.
It's definitely something, and it's so hard to find. I don't know. What about a mud skipper? I mean, I've looked it up and I've seen these X-rays of what are supposed to be mud skipper skeletons. It's just like you can't see anything because it's a side view, and then I don't know. But I definitely want to research this more because I think that it could very well be something that's still around now. And like you say, it wouldn't be the first time that this has happened. You got the coelacanth fish, and they found that, claimed it was a transitional form, and then they fished it out of the Japanese Sea. So you've got, we might have this Tiktaalik animal somewhere on the planet, if not a smaller version of it, and I think that's what we're dealing with. So
I'd like to know how big this fish can grow. The one that I'm sharing out here, I'd like to know its full size. I'm gonna have to look into it. I posted the link in the live chat for it.
All right.
Just let me get get this link here.
Oh, Space Miner's in the chat. Hey.
Hey, what do you call a Greek guy jumping out?
Oh,
of
and
a plane?
Evans was in the chat. I don't think he's still there though. A Greek guy?
What do you call a Greek guy jumping out of a plane and parachuting out of a plane?
What?
Condescending. Condescending.
There you go.
There you go.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I like that. It's a condescending. Anyway. It's one of my favorite. Someone
look at the
size. A Greek guy. A Greek guy called me that yesterday. Yeah. I just want to see what sort of fish it is. Let me view image, save. Yeah, I'll definitely save it.
Oh man. Well, I'll tell you. I don't know if that's your Tiktaalik, but
marbled cat.
It's definitely got the
skeleton.
top.
It's a marbled catfish. That's what I was looking
there you
for.
Go.
A marbled catfish. So we got ourselves our Tiktaalik in a marbled catfish, I think.
Space Miner, yeah. Oh man, this link you wrote.
Man, hey man, Have a look at a marbled catfish when it's just sitting on the. Have a look at its front fins and back. Yeah, there's your Tiktaalik. That actually looks like Tiktaalik. It looks like some of those pictures, some of them, not all of them. Some of the pictures they draw of Tiktaalik, the marbled catfish, when you look at it in real life, looks a little bit like the Tiktaalik drawings. Just the front of the head, without the whiskers, of course.
I don't know if I see what you're seeing because I still see the same skull here.
What?
Did you go to something else or?
Yeah, I'm no, I'm just saying if you search, if you do a search of marbled catfish, like as in marble, marbles, okay, or just marbled catfish, and have a look at the pictures. Hang on, I should do it. I should bring it up. I'll bring it up anyway. I should bring it up. Hang on.
All
just
right.
I'm getting lots of.
Yeah, bring up reviewing. Yeah. Oh, I see this thing. If I go away from the studio, I lose my connection here.
Yeah,
so.
I know.
Here's a nice thing. I gotta tell you, I feel like I'm under the weather. I think I might lose my cookies here in a second. I don't know if I got a bug or what, but
oh no,
if I disappear, it's
yeah, that's all right, man. We can end the stream anyway. I'll just show this marbled catfish, and that'll do it. Because
I'm gonna take another trip to the toilet, and I'm probably gonna pray to the porcelain god for a second. I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem. All right, let's have a look. Marbled catfish. Let's share this one out, and I got to get rid of some of these tabs. Yeah. So let's see that one, top left, top second from the left. Look at the shape of that head and look at some of the Tiktaalik drawings when Sea Science gets back. If he feels all right, I'll get him to show you some of the Tiktaalik drawings. Let me just see if I can get a view image. If I view image, it'll take me to another screen. I think that's good enough. Oh, he's left it covered over. That's all right. Let me see if I can find it. No, I don't know. No, wrong. Oh, I can't get rid of it. I can't work it out. Oh, here's. I know how to do it now. And there we go.
Whew. All right, I'm back. I'm sorry about that.
It's all right, man.
I've got like another rush of energy, though. You know, right after you lose it, you're like, "Let's go."
Yeah, I know.
Get that.
But that's all right. We can. Hang on. I'm just trying it there. All right. That marbled catfish there. I don't want to click on. Hang on. Let me see. Which one are we at? This one. If I click on view image, it'll go to another tab again. The rotten thing. Let me go. Hang on. Oh, here we go. I can just do it this way. There we go. So you look at the shape of that thing's head. That's the marbled catfish, the skeleton you saw before, right? That
Sure.
hang on, let me see if I can find that skeleton. That's the skeleton you saw, right? And this is the fish with the is that changing over as I'm doing that?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Okay. So that's the fish that that the skeleton goes over. Now look at where the fins are right next to the head, like Tiktaalik. The eyes sort of look, when you look at the skull, when you look at the pictures of Tiktaalik you showed, some of the pictures they draw look so similar to that head. Not all of them. Some of them have got a real duck-shaped head, like a duck bill sort of shaped head. But other pictures of Tiktaalik they draw look just like that head there. and there you are. There's what I reckon Tiktaalik could be.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's one thing to be said is that the difference,
or a variation of that, like a
sure,
yeah.
Like
a species.
Well, what I mean is like,
yeah,
you see the living fish, and then you have the skeleton fish, and you see the difference, and you got to imagine that whatever animal the fossil is, this Tiktaalik fossil is, compared to what it actually was when it was alive, is that much different. You're looking at this thing, and then they've got this next to it, and it's like it hasn't changed much. Like it's the same skull just sitting there with flesh over it. It's like no animal on the whole planet's like that. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna go and assume that the eyes were that small. Okay.
Yeah.
Especially when most fish.
Look, you've got to remember this thing. Those eyes, I don't know, man. Those eyes might have been further to the side, and that top part might be erosion, and it might also be that the skull was compressed. It might have been compressed during the fossilization process. It's got literally thousands of tons of mud above it. Sometimes thousands of tons. It's under an enormous amount of pressure. So these things could have been, so it definitely could be that fish skull. If you just drop that down for 1 sec, and then we can put that, no, wrong. Yeah, it definitely, and then go back to that picture again. I'd like to see a top view. I'd like to see a top view of that, but I bet you it's going to be hard to find. Of this guy.
And
I'd like to see a bottom view of its jaw too. I'd like to see a bottom view of its jaw as well.
Me too, because then we could compare it. We could compare it to this Tiktaalik. I mean, it definitely has that fishy looking jaw.
Tiktaalik's distorted, mate.
Oh, sure.
You know what else Tiktaalik could be? Tiktaalik could be like some sort of alligator type thing. Because I don't know. I know it's got the fin attached to the actual fossil, hasn't it? On the first fossil they found, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It has.
Yeah, it definitely has that.
It definitely has a fin. It's not. Yeah. All right. And I'm looking at its scales. Those scales look like. Go back to that other Tiktaalik picture that you just had up then. Have a look at this, the striation scales on its back, then go back to just drop picture down, just drop it. And then look, see? Looks sort of similar-ish, sort of. Then go back to Tiktaalik. Yeah. Similar, sort of, maybe not. You'd have to have it. If you're holding it, it might look the same and it might look completely different. But looks similar.
Yeah.
But anyway, it could be.
It's got that fish head to it.
There's more than one type of that fish. Let me see.
So, now you have the mud skipper here. Now, if you were to find a fossil of the mud skipper skull. The eyes are protruding so far from this thing's noggin, like they're just built out of it. Where you
it could be a
have
giant mud skipper. That's all it might be, just a giant mud skipper. He's simple.
Well, I mean, could be, but like it's definitely like the fish
could be compressed too. I mean, like with the compression, if it was a giant mud skipper and the skull was compressed, and as a matter of fact, looking at the way that the mud skipper's scales are set up in rows, it could that could be you'd have to be holding the Tiktaalik fossil to be able to see, but it looks similar too. It does look similar. So, like, if
it was flattened out. Here's our side view.
Man.
Yeah, it was definitely
that's under pressure. That's been deformed and misshapen, and that's definitely.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
That
and this is to scale, this is from the same literature.
But at least we've given people something to think about. Also, yeah, that's
and this is why like a lot of people are like, alligator, I think, when you look at the side,
that's what I keep thinking as well. It looks so much like an alligator skull that's been moved up. Maybe an alligator.
It's
not. You know how a fish, how they like it could have been an alligator got compressed on top of a fish, and that fin could just be a part of, not actually a part of it. It just looks so much like a frigging alligator, some sort of alligator baby or young alligator, and it's had its skull compressed in a weird way.
Well, they got their eyes on top too, don't they? The alligators. Yeah. So I don't know, man. It sure is interesting, but it's like I said before, I think that we should reinstate this fact as like, even if it is an animal that doesn't exist anymore, it is some kind of extinct form. That doesn't mean that it's a transitional form between a fish and some land-dwelling animal. It doesn't mean that its ancestors were going to turn into cows. It just is what it's just
showing people before the differences in walking fish, all the different walking fish, and it's phenomenal how many there is. I mean, it's incredible. There are. Hang on, let me see if I can find that page again. Walking fish. Here we go.
Walking fish, flying fish.
Look at this. Look at these things. Look, have a gander at these things. I mean, look at them. Get a load of that. I mean, there is so many out there. Look at this one, the one on the bottom right. Now that's an interesting fish, isn't it? And what's that? That's a catfish, I think. That's some sort of. Oh no, that is an interesting fish. I wonder what its eye placement is. Let's have a look at that one.
A catfish. Wow.
Let's go and have a look at
he's out of the
David
water,
site. Walking catfish. Oh, look at that. That looks like Tiktaalik too. It's a walking catfish.
Wow.
There you go.
Does it have back fins?
There you go.
Hey, look, I can zoom in.
We found out Tiktaalik. Actually, I'm gonna get that whole search link and I'm gonna post the whole link.
This thing does have a dorsal fin, and it's almost like it's like this like webbing that it just casts up like that, and something like that wouldn't necessarily be preserved in fossil. It'd be like easily even discarded.
Mark, you're boiling.
Oh, turn down. But yeah, I mean. So what I'm saying is, like, here you can see the backbone. You can see that it's definitely a vertebrae. A vertebrae? Vertebrae? Yeah. So anyway, it's got vertebrae. It's got rib. It's got ribs. It's a bony fish.
Bastard.
Yeah. But like something like that.
Hang on.
Like that dorsal fin there, that might not make it to the fossilization process. And here, this guy, this mud skipper has the same dorsal fin that it can splay up like that, but this one has it laying down on its back. So it's very superficial superficial like attribute of the mud skipper is that dorsal fin, and then they're up here claiming, look, here's a fish with no dorsal fin. It's the Tiktaalik. Yep. No dorsal fin. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm just saying that the dorsal fin might have been present when it was alive. Maybe it's not now because it's such a superficial feature of this animal, of a mud skipper or these kinds of fish with this kind of front leg fin anatomy. So we got, yeah. Well, this is interesting. So here's before it was all the matrix was removed. The what was encased in the matrix. The matrix. Anyway. Yeah. And here's at the site, so they actually removed the whole rock. I think it took a while, obviously. They dug it all out and removed the rock. Just makes you wonder if if the front end was attached to this back end here. Now, the first two pieces, have the headpiece, the center and trunk body, and then the end here. The third part was found after the fact, 2006 to 2008 dig. So not the 2004 dig where the skull and the trunk body were found, but something that happened 2 years later. They went back to the site, and I wonder if they found that back part of it near the same place where they found the front. Either way, it doesn't matter. It seems like it could be connected, or even like it's supposed to be, Yeah. So that's interesting. But it's the whole idea is that whole back end was found after the fact. So so the fossils included the complete pelvis of the original type specimen, making it possibly to directly compare the front and rear appendages of the animal. Yeah.
Got it.
And they found they're about the same size, the front and back appendages. So if they're supposed to be connected, who knows? But for longest time, like I said before, is they had this much. So they were portraying this animal with no back legs, and for a good long time, and then all of a sudden they added, the back legs to this. Even in the more famous, there's no back legs in this photo. This is at the museum. So.
Okay, I got the link.
All right.
Copy. Finally got it, so I can post it now in comments. Not that giant mega link. And there. And in the private chat as well. Yeah, that is interesting, that fish. And a mud skipper as well. But so there you go. They just find these things, and it could be just anything like that, similar to that. And they just claim it's a transitional without any evidence at all. They've got no evidence, you should have hundreds of millions of transitionals. There should be so many transitionals everywhere. And they've just got these scattered fossils all over the place with no, intermediates, leading up to these transitionals or other intermediates leading from the transitional to something else. So, and so they literally just find something like this walking catfish fossilized, and like a giant one of these things, because we all know that things were bigger in the past. They just were. Most things were just bigger because they grew bigger because, anyway, they just grew bigger for lots of reasons. We won't get into all that sort of stuff. There's lots of reasons things grow bigger when you don't hunt them so much, and they can just they grow bigger and bigger. So we know they were bigger in the past. So just a giant one of these things or a big one of these things got fossilized, and they make up some great big hullabaloo about it. I mean, we saw it skull, and I mean, honestly, that skull also, they had to chip that skull out of rock, right? So, like there could be a little bit of artistic license there. You know what I mean? As they're chipping the skull out, just leave a little, that looks a little bit, doesn't go with our narrative. I'll just give it a little tweak, a little bit there and a tweak a little bit there. They do that sort of stuff all the time, and they bloody well do. So, we don't know what that fossil would look like if it was taken out of the ground in its real form, of its untweaked evolutionary goggles form. Or whatever. I mean, it's been compressed under lots of mud, tons of weight. You got thousands of tons of, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of tons of mud on top of these things in some cases, like massive amounts of pressure. So, they're deformed, they're out of shape, so they can literally just pull anything out of the ground like that and just build any narrative around it that they like. And people will swallow it. So there, we've just given you a whole lot of reasons why you shouldn't just swallow everything that they say.
I agree. And like I said, here you have again, and it's amazing to me how much this walking catfish looks like a mud skipper. So you have these bony fish with their anatomy. They're out of the water. They have these really thin dorsal fins because, just because the Tiktaalik was found without its dorsal fin doesn't mean it never had one. It could have been lost to erosion, and, you never know. So it makes a lot of sense to me that it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's Space Miner. It's good to see you, man. Yeah, I know. I wanted to state it more clearly so that, it makes sense to me that that back fin is just so thin. The bones in it are so skinny and frail. You might lose that during the fossilization process, even digging it out. But to claim, that's an interesting looking fish. There's not many fish, on the planet. And
what I give that a dorsal. Give it a recap, mate. That was just a recap of what we spoke about already. So that quick rambling statement that I gave was just a recap. So yeah, but what you're saying about this thing having back fins, mate, it could have just been bitten off by a shark before it got fossilized, and then they went back and just found some piece of some other animal and just said, well, this is definitely Tiktaalik. You know what I mean? Like, you get scales on things look similar across lots of different fish. You know what I mean? Like, you really, it's sort of, I suppose you could tell a fish from its scales, but, if you're finding lots of extinct species, it's going to be very hard to match up scales and say that this was definitely from, even if they look similar or the same as, or something, some identifying mark like that, it doesn't mean that it even came from the same species, so to speak. You know what I mean? Anyway, I just wanted to add that in there.
Sure. And another thing I wanted to add is that, when they found this, its snout was sticking out of the ground, and this was supposed to be a discovery that's 375 million years old. Okay, so like here again, and I often say that it amazes me that dinosaur, footprints are even found, if they're supposed to be 65 million years old, 65 million years of erosion, and you're still finding dinosaur footprints down by the riverside or by the shore. I don't know. It's hard for me to buy that. But here's another thing that's hard for me to buy is that this Tiktaalik fossil, as it's called, is 375 million years old when its snout was sticking out of the ground. And here, on this island, okay, near the bay, where is it? There's that arrow again. Yeah, near this bay here. You're telling me that this thing's snout was sticking out of the ground for hundreds of millions of years, and that, rain didn't wash it away. I don't know.
Man,
and it waited there
that is ridiculous beyond belief.
300 million years. They're talking about Pangeas, different Pangean ideas, different times the continents were together and separated have happened since then. Land has risen and fallen, volcanoes have gone up. It's like, and then you're going to walk over and find Tiktaalik sticking out of the ground.
Going by Lost, this is something that just not.
You're chopping up. I can barely hear you. It's either on my end or yours.
Okay. All right. That's bad. So am I still chopping up?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Well, here it is. Well, at the lowest erosion rates, we go by the slowest erosion rates. Land erodes away should be gone every, say, 20 million. Let's just be fair and go right over the top. It's less than this, but every 20 million years, right? And then you got geological uplift, they say, accounts for that. But the problem with that is you've got this uplift and it's eroding away over, say, 75 million years, probably, say, 3-4 times. And it has to be replaced 3 or 4 times from geologic uplift. So why are the dinosaur fossils still there? They should be gone a long time ago. There should only be, and like marine, and that's it. Nothing else. Nothing else. Everything should be completely gone. Over, 4 times over. It should have been, all the land should have been eroded down to sea level 4 times over in 70 million years. So, and it's being replaced by geological uplift. What, dinosaurs died out 70 million years ago. So how did the dinosaur bones keep getting replaced? And we find them everywhere. Like not many. There's only 0.01% of vertebrates in the fossil record, but we find them spread out everywhere. So and we find some of these dinosaurs in dirt still. I mean, I've seen them excavating them out of dirt. Now, how did the dirt not turn to rock over 70 million years? And I saw them excavating an entire hadrosaur, duck dinosaur, in one spot, and it was covered in dirt.
The ones with the duck bills, the hadrosaur.
Yeah, 120 million years, 120 million years ago, supposed to have been around. And I've seen them excavating an entire whole one, articulated, sort of thing. Similar in the ground, out of dirt. And they've removed those pictures off the internet because they know that just absolutely annihilates them. We used to laugh about it back in the day before all the censorship and all the stuff got removed off the internet and that, we just go, you're digging it out of dirt. Look at it, it's all soft dirt. You're digging it out of it. Why didn't it turn to rock after 120 million years? And then they just removed all those pictures.
I mean, once you have like the concept of like the erosion and like the actual amount of time that they believe that these things have been here, like dinosaur footprints, this Tiktaalik here in Ellesmere Island, it's just like, really? Like, I mean, once you realize like it rains on the rocks and the rivers push everything into the sea, and then they believe land rises up. They believe like so much has happened in the last 375 million years geologically that these fossils just shouldn't be here if they're really that old. So why are they? So they kind of have to account for that. And like you're saying, right, whole dinosaurs being found articulated.
Cambrian should be on top, mate. The Cambrian should be way gone already, long time ago from geological uplift and erosion, or it should be right on top. You know what I mean? Not way down. Like they're just so full of it.
It's not adding up to a full story. That's what I see. I see a fish that looks quite like these walking catfish, the mud skippers, and they're claiming something fantastic, something that was predicted by Darwin. Okay, Darwin predicted that. It should
all be gone, man. Everything. I don't understand. Like all the bones, all the fossils. You know how fast fossils degrade when they get out into the air, and that
Sure.
they break down really quickly. They don't like if you go and look at those footprint fossils, right? At I can't remember, somewhere in Texas. Anyway, as soon as they get exposed to the air, fossils and that, they start the carbonic acid, like just carbon in the air that is acidic, and it breaks them down. So, you know, like these things are being eroded away, they're being lifted up, exposed, and then, you know, broken down by carbonic acid in the rain, and then supposedly lasted 120 million years. Everything should be gone. There's your evidence right there.
Yeah. 375 million years. That's that's 225 years. 225 million years older than the dinosaurs. I just like it doesn't even compute in my mind. And then I'm supposed to believe that this thing was just out there waiting for 375 million years for Neil to come along and find it. So
yeah, you're breaking up. Now that I've got that those links, I might discard of a whole lot of tabs here. It might help a bit. I'll keep that one. There you go. Okay. So that was those fish that we showed. They were pretty interesting. Like, it just shows that there's a lot of stuff out there, and then these fossils that they dig out, they do use a lot of artistic license. Digging them out, shaping them. So, you know, they do. You don't know if that is exactly the way it was, or, you know, if it was so degraded that when they pulled it out, or so in you know, sort of embedded in the rock matrix that it was hard to separate it. So they sort of shape it a little bit the way that they think it should look as they're, you know, chiseling it out. Thing, you know, using their evolutionary worldview to shape it as they chisel it. That sort of thing happens all the time. So you can't be certain of what it really did look like. Anyway, yeah. So what do you reckon, Sea Science? You got anything to say? And
yeah, and I just wanted to add, you know, that's what we're. Am I coming through clearly?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to add, you know, that's what we're finding is that these researchers, the evolutionists, they're using little known animals like, say, mud skippers, just little facts of life. I say this clearly. Like, for instance, with the Lucy thing, they use human remains that aren't of average size, you know, so they'll use little known differences between the animals. Like, I didn't even know there was a walking catfish, you know, so they'll use like the idea of fish with leg fin anatomy, which not everyone knows these animals exist, and then show a fossil of one and show this arm leg anatomy, and we're all supposed to be wowed that there's animals like this, but it's like there's animals like this now. So I guess,
well, I just showed heaps of all those weird looking walking fish. So I mean, there's imagine if all those fish were extinct today, all those walking fish that we see today. And then imagine if they found in the fossil record the stories they tell. Oh man, it's like,
oh sure. All right. Well, I think we killed the Tiktaalik topic for now. I mean, we might talk more about it next week. I'm gonna look into this more. Maybe we can research some more animals that have that skull shape and body design and scales, and so, you know, see what we find. But it was a lot of fun talking with you, man. And we'll catch you all next week. How's that sound?
Yep, that sounds good. See you, mate. Have a good
All right,
day.
God bless.
God bless everyone.